in New York City at the L'Oreal Professional Academy, where I just got done teaching Paint Addict with Laura Gibson this weekend. And we're here with our amazing model, Lauren. And we are showcasing today creative color techniques, blonding techniques, and we're focusing on our new Majorelle Glow with L'Oreal Professional. So what I want to do first is talk a little bit about Lauren's hair. So when we first brought her in, she actually had some regrowth about down 1/2 inch. So what we did first off is we went through and we colored her with Majorelle half 7N and half L.12 with the new Majorelle Glow to soften out her line of demarcation because it was pretty heavy and we wanted to really soften that out. We did leave out her hairline because we want to focus in and give her some baby lights. And then we brought a little bit of it through the back to just bring down some depth. So already that has softened out her hair color a lot. So now we're gonna go through and we're going to really pop this up and give her some extra pieces. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to go in and put a couple baby lights right around her face, just to give her that really bright, beautiful money piece that everybody loves so much.
And you've got Courtney from behind the camera, you guys from the Hairbrain team. If you have any questions, please ask them and I will pass them along to Jackie. We've got a lot of love coming in so far. We've got people from Vancouver joining us. We have Christine Fitzpatrick here. She says, go Jackie, beautiful soft base. People from Canada, Long Island. So let us know if you have any questions, you guys.
Awesome. Thank you guys all so much for coming on and joining me. So right away, I'm just gonna go in. I'm using L'Oreal Professional Platinum, which is ammonia-free, to go ahead and put in just these ever so tiny little baby lights. And I'm gonna just be really soft with them. She's already pretty light through her mids and ends, so I'm really just going in to brighten up those tiny little pieces around her face.
And I know we just kind of went over it, but we have a lot of people asking questions about the base.
Okay.
One was, did you color it? I think that is a yes.
Yes, absolutely.
And what developer did you use with Glow L12 on her base?
So her base is actually half of the Glow L.12, which is awesome, and half of 7N with Majorelle Classic. And we used it with the brand new 12.5 volume developer, which is so great because we really didn't need to bring her up. She has pretty fine hair, as you can see. So all we wanted to do is just really soften her grow out and cool her down just a tiny bit. So now she has this beautiful natural base. It looks great on her already. So that's all I'm gonna do on that side is just those two little pieces, and I'm just gonna fold this back away from her face to really keep that out of the way.
And I know you mentioned we're here in New York. You just got finished teaching a class. Where can everybody find you online? I know you post a lot of your work and education there as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So you can find me at Jackie Epp, and I do a lot of balayage videos and a lot of videos really focus on hairstylists. So I would love for you to give me a follow. I actually also own Chroma Salon, which our Instagram is at chromasalontacoma.com. And that's where I'm located, is in Tacoma, Washington, which is just south of Seattle. I would love to know where you're all watching from as well.
See, we have Southern California with us, New Jersey, Florida, Romania.
Boom.
We have Anna Smith with us. She says, hi Jackie, you are an amazing balayage artist.
Oh, thank you so much. I love the love. So we're just continuing on, just really following the head shape and following her hairline to just go ahead and bring like the tiniest little baby lights in here. So a lot of the times I'll do this with my clients who do need a base color because it allows me to get little tiny pieces right around their hairline and really give them a soft grow out, and the line of demarcation there just really softens that.
And for an application like this, how often would you suggest your client to come back in for touch-ups?
So the great thing is these little hairline pieces, if you guys notice, I'm only putting 2 in So far I've done this left side and I've done 2 and 2. I'm gonna do the exact same thing on the other side. So this is a really easy add-on for any sort of color service. So whether your client is coming in every 6 weeks, every 4 weeks, every 8 weeks, you could add on these 8 foils and it's a super easy add-on. I'm gonna go ahead and pop around this other side.
And what is the product you're currently using to create these money pieces?
So this is Platinum from L'Oreal Professionnel. It's actually a paste lightener, so it's really amazing to foil with because I like my lightener a little thicker when I'm using foils. It just helps me hold those foils in place a little bit better. So as you can see, I'm taking a very tiny little section. I want these to look beautiful and natural.
And I just want to add, you guys, we do have another model coming in who is pre-done. So you will see one finished look on camera and you will put the finished look of this model in the comment section after the live.
Absolutely, and I will also post her probably tomorrow on my Instagram page as well as my Facebook page. So again, at Jackie Up, you can follow me and I will post all the details.
Jeremy Taylor is joining us from Newport Beach, California, and he's asking how many levels of lift is the product that you're currently using?
So with Platinum, you can get up to 6 levels. I'm almost 100% positive, so don't test me on that, I guess. But it's beautiful, it's ammonia free, and it just really allows you to get a little bit of lift, but without, on these, especially these fine little baby hairs, I don't need her to come up a lot. So I'm only using 20 volume on this. And it's with NutriDeveloper, so it's a really wonderful conditioning product.
And I have to ask, because I've never seen anyone weave as quickly as you do with your brush, how long have you been a stylist?
I've been doing hair for 14 years, and funny little side story, when I was in beauty school, I was taught by a stylist who told us to stop being slow and just learn to do it fast, and if you learn to do it fast, you will always be fast. And so it's funny because I always weave really fast and it always gets commented on.
Yes, I've never seen anything like it. I'm fascinated.
It allows me to put foils in very, very quickly.
So speaking of doing, fast work, how long would you book out for this type of service in the salon?
So if I am doing all of this at the same time, which you'll see, we're gonna put in some low lights, we're gonna balayage some pieces, I would probably book about 45 minutes total.
And would that include the base color that you've already done? We did that off camera.
Yes. So normally behind the chair, I would probably have put her base color on at the same time, because what we're trying to do is not necessarily give her some big bright pieces all the way to her scalp, but really just give her a more lived-in look. She had a very, very strong line of demarcation, and we just wanted to soften that, but we're not really trying to make her a power blonde. So this is just going to be a really beautiful dimensional glowy look that we're able to do kind of all at the same time. The other thing about using these little baby fine foils and weaves is it's really going to allow us to have a really soft grow out. So even if all she wanted to do is just retouch her base, she would be able to do that. So that's my total face frame. This is something you could do on your own. You don't necessarily have to even go on and add anything else, but we are gonna go through and add some stuff. So I'm gonna switch out my product really fast.
And Anna's asking, how many baby lights do you usually put in the hairline?
It all depends on the face shape and their hair texture, but on fine hair, this kind of 8 texture, or this 8 foil face frame is usually what I do. Just following the head shape. If you wanted a little bit of a stronger money piece, you could put 3 on it, each section and have it a little bit bolder.
And Jeremy Taylor's asking if you're going to gloss or do any toning afterwards.
I would say Maybe. It depends. She's really has like a beautiful tone already, and I can't wait to see what we do when we add this in. So if she needs it, we definitely will gloss her. If she doesn't, if we're really happy with how she lifts, we'll probably gloss her with Light Clear, just to give her added shine. So as you can see, my next section, I'm working diagonal back right behind my foils, and this is where I'm going to go in and start to add my glow. So I have mixed up so her base was half 7N and half L.12, which is the new Majorelle Glow for lighter hair levels 6 through 10. So now what I'm going to pull through is straight L.12 with then a little bit of clear added in.
And Karen's just joining us, and she's asking, what do you typically charge with baby lights?
So baby lights are all dependent on how many baby lights that you're putting in. Where I live, if I was just to put a face frame baby light in, we have what we call basically a face frame foil, and that would be, you know, just those 8 to 12 foils as an add-on service. It all really depends on where you live. If I'm doing a full head of baby lights, you know, we're talking a very different, maybe even like an hourly service. If it's something where I'm gonna have to spend, 90 minutes to an hour adding in baby lights all over the head. So that was my slice of glow. So I'm gonna go up about 1 inch, maybe a little bit more since she's finer haired.
How big would you say your sections are?
This section is about 1 inch. I'm definitely leaving some of her depth out. Same thing with under there. So I left about 1 inch above her ear. And now in this section, I'm going to go through and actually paint some balayage in. So for my balayage formula, I'm using freehand technique powder and 30 volume. And I'm going to go ahead and stick with single point balayage for her because I do want to really focus on leaving some dimension. I'm not trying to make her bright everywhere.
And Jeremy's asking, what glow product are you using?
We're using the Glow L.12 with clear mixed with 20 volume because we actually want to get a little bit of a bump with her formula.
And someone's asking, I believe, what are you currently using? They're asking if that is Majorelle Glow.
Yes, absolutely. So you can see I'm just going in between this section, and I'm just going to add in about 3 pieces of balayage. And then we're gonna, because this is freehand, I'm not really worried about encapsulating anything with plastic. So I'm gonna go ahead and take my next section up. And this is gonna be another glow.
And for balayage, Anna's asking, can you explain what the difference is between single, double, or triple point balayage?
So single point, how I would describe it is single point balayage is going to give you the most brightness next to the most dimension. As you continue to add in points, whether it be 2 points, 3 points, all the way up into like a hair paint situation where like the whole panel is getting painted, you're basically creating more of a blend and less dimension. So I hope that answered your question.
Yes, thank you. And again, you guys, this is Courtney from the Hairbrain team behind the camera. If you have any questions, please ask them and I will pass them along to Jackie.
So I am being careful that I'm not mashing down the section underneath me because I do have those balayage pieces. So you can see as I work through, we're going to come up on this next section. You can really cover ground quickly because we're not trying to overpaint her or over highlight her. I'm going to turn her just ever so slightly. And we're kind of coming right here. So I always make sure right behind my baby lights, I leave a little bit of depth. That way, this piece right here pops and looks a little brighter. So I'm just gonna connect those light pieces she already has, but I don't need to pull that through because she's already pretty light on that piece. So again, if I find a piece that I'm painting and I feel like it's already light, there's no need to saturate through the mids and ends.
And Morgan Weaver's asking, how do you make it so the bleach doesn't dry out on the balayage since you're not covering it with plastic?
So with freehand technique powder, it's actually formed to encapsulate on the outside and stay moist and saturated on the inside. So one of the things that we teach is when you apply the lightener, you want to make sure that it's thick enough that you cannot see the hair through the lightener. So if you notice, my lightener is very, very white as I paint it on, and you can't see any of the hair. This ensures that when it encapsulates, there's still product left on the inside.
And can you add Majorelle Glow to the regular Majorelle? And if yes, what result would you have?
So what Majorelle Glow does, so yes, first of all, you can add it, and we will be able to put up a picture of her. When we got her, we actually put on a base color that was half 7N, half L.12 as her base to go ahead and soften. And that really allowed us to soften out. She had a pretty harsh line of demarcation there.
Perfect, thank you. And Eileen is asking, what type of foils are you using?
You know what? Any old foil, just, you live your best life. I don't think I'm using anything fancy. I think I'm using regular old foils that I've just pre-folded. So I'm gonna go ahead and just hit my next slice right here.
Morgan says, thank you for answering all the questions. This education she's getting is priceless.
Awesome. That is the best thing to hear from an educator. So just so you guys know, I do teach for L'Oreal Professionnel at the Academy, but I also go in and teach in salon classes. So if ever you guys are interested in bringing me in as an educator, reach out to me through Instagram or my Facebook page, and you can definitely schedule a customized class, and we can really focus in on exactly what you want to learn and what you want to learn hands-on, and we can create it just specifically for you or your salon.
And where can everybody find you on Instagram?
I'm on Instagram at Jackie Epp, so it's Jackie and then EPP. All right, we've come to the top of this section. So one of the things I'm noticing is that I feel like there's a little dark piece right here. So I'm gonna go ahead and pick that out and just retouch it. Sometimes my pattern doesn't work exactly the way I envisioned, so I just make it happen.
And Nicole Smith is asking, what are you using within the foils?
So within the foils, it's the new Majorelle Glow L.12 with 20 volumes. So it's a straight tonal color, which is amazing because we haven't really been able to have a straight tonal color that is cool. It's nice to be able to not necessarily make somebody darker, but be able to cool them off and control warmth, just keeping them at the same level.
And is what you are currently painting a low light?
So what I'm painting here is a highlight. What I'm painting within the foils isn't necessarily a low light, but is toning it down and cooling it off. So my goal is not to make her darker, it's to make her really prismatic and really iridescent without necessarily going deeper and darker.
And while we have one side complete, for those just joining, can we do a quick review of what we've done?
Yep. So first thing we did was we put in some baby lights around her face. We did 8 little baby lights using platinum and 20 volume. And then I went through at a diagonal back and I put in 3 foils of the new Majorelle Glow in the L.12 with in between those sections I balayaged with freehand techniques powder. So I'm gonna spin her this way and we're gonna go ahead and do the exact same thing on this side. Now this is her light side, so we might end up really putting only maybe 2 foils in, maybe 3 as well. She has beautiful hair, but it is fairly fine. So I feel like one of the things people tend to do with balayage or with foiling is to overfoil or over balayage, and they lose all the depth and dimension. So what I want to do is make sure that I keep that in her hair. So when you see her hair, you see a lot of different tones. So when you're foiling, one of the things I always like to tell people is to not do the like spinny whirl of death, where you like wrap up your foil like this with all the hair. So I just pick up this hair and fold it over itself, and it keeps it really nice in that packet.
And Anna's asking, do you usually start from the sides when you do balayage or highlights?
Really depends on the look that we're going for. Sometimes I start on the sides if we're really focusing around a face frame. Sometimes I start in the back if we're doing a full total look and we really want to get some more brightness evenly. You know, normally people carry a little more weight in the back and their hair is usually a little bit thicker. So it really depends. It's very client to client customizable. So back through to balayage. I'm gonna go ahead and just keep on those single points.
And are you saturating the hair all the way through or no?
No. So with a balayage, as you can see, there's absolutely no product on the underneath. Balayage is definitely a surface painting. With her, I'm not trying to give her a big stripe. If I was to saturate this all the way through, she would end up with a big chunky highlight. The goal is to give her a little bit more sun-kissed of a look. The only thing I'm saturating is just about that last third of the hair.
Perfect. And Sherry's asking, what is her natural level?
So her natural level is right around a 6, and it was a little bit cooler than what she was. So previously she had had some highlights and she had had a base adjust, which means some people call it a base break. I don't really like to use the term break when we talk about hair, so we like to call it a base adjust. So what I wanted to do is really soften that out, which is why I used the 7N and L.12. So we're gonna go through to our next section, just being mindful of what's underneath and behind.
So Katie's asking, she says the freehand highlights you've done at the top, will that not give it a stripy look? Will you explain why that won't happen?
So with balayage, I will agree with you. It definitely looks stripy when you paint it on. I think people get a little bit scared of it while it's processing, but because it's just surface painted, and because when you balayage, you're painting the hair in the same direction it's growing. So as you can see with any sort of foil, right, we're putting a horizontal line in a vertical growing piece of hair. When you balayage, you're painting the hair in a vertical manner the way that hair grows. And so it actually, because it's surface painted and because we're painting it the same direction, it actually gives a much softer grow out, and it will diffuse out and look less stripy, I think, than a lot of foils can.
And I know we touched on it a little bit earlier, but doing balayage and foils at the same time, are you scared of the bleeding and the weight of the foils over the balayage?
I would be if I was putting on a ton of foils, super heavy. I would definitely go through and maybe use a plastic. But because we're putting fairly minimal amount of foils in, I mean, on this side we only have 2, I'm not worried about that being too heavy.
And during your consultation before the process, what was your client's goal?
So she had before is she had some highlights and she just had a very strong line of demarcation. So her goal was to soften that line of demarcation and to still feel like a blonde but feel dimensional.
And if you are just joining us, you guys, we do have another model who will come in shortly, and that will show you the finished look using the same type of application, and then we'll put this finished look in the comment section after the live is over.
Yep. You can also check it out on my Instagram @JackieUp. Okay, so here's where I'm at, which is totally normal. I'm kind of at this weird point where I just want maybe a very small foil, so I'm gonna go through and I'm gonna go ahead and put a very small foil in right here so that I can finish out with a highlight. Sometimes when we, make our plan, it's not always measured perfectly, right? So I'm just gonna be really, really wary that I don't touch her balayage pieces underneath.
And Delilah's asking, is this something like baby lights /foliage /balayage?
Right? It's kind of a customized thing. So one of the things that I think is important for us as artists and as hairstylists is to not allow our clients to get bored, right? So one of the things that's happening with social media and with everything that we see online is our clients are seeing the same thing. So anytime you can customize your client's color to something that's very specific that just maybe you created just for her or for him, it really refocuses in for your clients to give them, there's no reason for them to ever go anywhere else. So this, I don't even have a name for what I would call this because it's very specific to this client. Now, maybe somebody else, I would do it slightly different, a different angle, a different low light, a different balayage, less pieces, more pieces, right? But for this client, I'm really looking at her hair and just deciding where I feel like the most benefit would lay.
And yes, Delilah, we will have the final results posted here in the comments once this client has processed, and Jackie will also put it on her Instagram. We also have a live model who was pre-done that we will bring on camera shortly.
Yep. So here's the front. I'm gonna go ahead and spin her around so you guys can see how the finished front looks before we go into the back sections. So on her, I really wanted the focus to be around her face, which is why we started around her face. So I'm gonna turn her around. So now you can see these back sections. She does have some highlights in here. They're pretty minimal, and what I want to do is make sure that we bring those first balayage pieces the length of her haircut. So we did give her a trim and clean her up, and I'm going to pull this out from behind you. So I want to make sure that I'm going to section off, and I'm actually going to start this section with balayage so that she can, we can make sure those lighter pieces go all the way the length. So I'm going to just split her right down the middle right here. And I'm going to do diagonal back. And we're going to paint our first balayage pieces right here. But if you guys would like, we have our finished model. So if you want to come on over, this is Zulai. So Zulai's hair, she has beautiful natural curls, and she was very light overall, actually. We'll put up some before pictures of her as well, but what we wanted to do is we wanted to utilize the glow as well on her to basically gloss down a little bit of her hair and give her more dimension. And so we added in the D.17 in vertical sections around her hair to make sure that she left some of her highlights, but that she had a little more pop and a little more dimension all the way around. We also did a retouch on her of a NOAA 5N and 5.1, because she does have a few little sparkles in there, which is totally normal, right? A lot of our clients are coming in and they want to get their sparkles covered, and what a great way to create just some dimension by adding in some vertical panels of a different color, a low light, something warmer, something cooler. You can really customize this to be whatever you want it to be.
Thank you.
We also gave her a pretty amazing haircut, so that is awesome. Thank you, Vegas, for that.
And again, for the client that Jackie's currently working on, you will see her final result after the live once she is finished processing and has a good blow dry.
Yes. No, we always want to make sure that our models turn out great and beautiful, but we are doing this live, and so, sorry, I had a little rogue hair there. So we won't have her completely finished when we finish this live, but we definitely will post pictures for everyone.
And before you catch us up with what you're currently doing, Nicole's asking how she can follow you on Instagram.
So if you go to @JackieEpp, it's super easy. It's @Jackie JACKIE and I post lots of videos, lots of balayage videos on there. It's really all about hairstylists. So I'm going through the back and I'm just painting in some single point balayage pieces. I did 1 row of balayage, and then I did a slice of the L.12 with the new Majuro Glow and 20 volume to add in some kind of iridescent, cooler tones throughout her hair.
So the freehand and the foiling is the same technique that you were using on both sides?
Yes, exact same technique, just working diagonal back, up the back of each quadrant now. So I'm going to put in 1 more foil, and then I'm going to finish out with balayage so that she has, we always want to make sure we finish out evenly all the way around the head. So because I finished the front with balayage, we want to make sure we finish the back with balayage as well. So any more questions, I'd love to answer them. Like I said, I do a lot of education. I go a lot of in-salon education. So if ever you're interested, you can definitely either reach out to me directly, or you can reach out to your sales manager and they can get in contact with me, and we can schedule any sort of customized color education for you in your salon. You can come to the academy, which is where we're at. We just got done teaching Paint Addict, which is a creative balayage hair painting class. And it was a really wonderful class, and we were able to cover, we had a brunette, we had a redhead, we did some blonding, lots of hands-on. It was awesome.
So Jackie, I know you mentioned earlier that you own your own salon. 1, how long have you been a salon owner? And 2, with all the education, how many days do you try to be behind the chair in the salon?
All the things, yep. So Chroma Salon, we've been open for 8.5 years. It's been a slow growth. So we actually only started with 3 chairs, and we now have 9 and a staff of 14. So we've grown quite a bit, which is awesome. I work 3 days behind the chair and then 1 Saturday a month. And I usually teach somewhere between 2 and 4 days a month as well. Okay, so we've done this left quadrant. Now we're going to work through the right quadrant, and we just want to make sure that we're wary of the hair we've already touched, so we don't disrupt the other balayage. So we're going to start with our balayage pieces.
And real quick, for everyone just joining, can you go over the formulas that you're currently using?
Absolutely. So right now I'm painting with Freehand Technique powder from L'Oreal Professionnel and 30 volume. Our prismatic, I wouldn't call it a low light, but I guess it's a foil light, a glow light, if you will, is the L.12 from Majuro Glow with 20 volume. And then we did a face frame baby light around her hairline with platinum and 20 volume, all from L'Oreal Professionnel.
And how long does this service take you in the salon?
So behind the chair, when I'm not talking and just working, I'd schedule usually with a base color at the same time about 45 minutes. So this is the part where we get to where I need to make sure I'm not disrupting what I've already painted, so I'm just being a little wary of that.
And I know we've talked about it a little bit, but for those just joining, we have someone asking, when you paint the single strand on top, does the lightener bleed through to the underside pieces? If not, how do you control that, or does the product handle that for you?
So it's a little bit of both. How about that? Definitely if you work your lightener too thin, it's going to bleed, and it's going to bleed through the hair. The goal is to not have it bleed through the hair and to only be saturated exactly where you want it. So as I jump to my next section and I go to paint a few pieces, I'll demo this. Just want to make sure I grab all the right hair without disrupting what's around me. So here's my next section. Nice clean sectioning.
And are your sections the same size in the back as they were on the sides?
Yes, we're doing about an inch section. So when I paint this piece, if I can pick up a piece. So she actually already has a nice highlight right here, so I don't even need to bring it through. What I'm going to do is just touch that up slightly, and as you can see, my lightener is thick enough that when I hold that underneath, it does not saturate through. It is just surface painted. And since she's already pretty light on her ends, I'm really just letting that be. I don't need to pull it through unless she really needs a little bit more brightness or kick at the ends. So same thing here.
You have a lot of love coming in, so thank you guys for being here with us tonight.
Thank you so much for coming and watching and hanging out with me. I love to do education, and I love to share my passion for color and hair painting and all things L'Oreal Professionnel. So I'm going to put my last foil in right here. And you can see we actually did a base color on her. If you're just joining us, we did her base color of half Majorelle Classic 7N and half of the new Majorelle Glow L.12 with the new 12.5 volume. And so what we're doing now is just taking that L.1 through and pulling that through some of her ends to cool them off and give her a little bit of that iridescent shine.
I'm going to switch spots with you so you can bring your tray around.
Good. So we're really hitting this last section. All right. So here we are. We're in this last section. So I'm going to go ahead and just follow this and connect all my points. Because she has fine hair, I'm working pretty fine points. I don't need to paint big, thick sections.
And in terms of processing, will you let this process for much longer after the live?
So that's one of the reasons why we chose to do her base color separately, because we knew it was going to have to sit on longer. So we chose to do that first. So what we'll do when I'm all done is we'll let her process usually probably right around 25 or 30 minutes. If you have availability in your salon, I do use a roller ball or a little bit of heat on my balayage, but with the Majorelle Glow, we don't need to do that, and this is totally fine sitting open air. I definitely do not recommend any sort of hooded dryer, anything that blows air on something that's open air, because all that's going to do is dry out your product very quickly. So I'll recap really fast so you can kind of see where we're at. So she has balayage mixed in with some foils, and then if I turn her, you'll be able to see her face frame right in here. This is what we did with Platinium and 20 volume. So without disrupting, I'm gonna see if I can pop one of these open and you can kind of see where she's looking. If these need to be pulled before the rest is done, I will pull them. But so far they're looking good. We wanna let them sit just a little bit longer.
And again, you guys, we will have this final look for you in here in the comments section and on Jackie's Instagram after our beautiful model finishes processing. And before we sign off, Jackie, should we bring on your pre-done model?
Let's bring her up. Come on over. So she's so beautiful. Look at her gorgeous curls. So as you can see, she had a lot of highlights in her hair. So what we did with the D.17 is we brought it through in vertical sections, working all the way around her hair. And it just gave her a lot of dimension and a lot of depth back into her hair. She also got a great haircut, which is awesome. It gave her some more bounce. You can see she's left with some beautiful lighter pieces, but she still has some great depth in there, and then she gets that pop. Now, whenever I do this, I always leave the brightness around the face so that she has that nice bright glow around her face.
And for a client with more texture in her hair, did you use the same sectioning pattern?
No, I used it a little bit more vertical, because what happens is with curls, right? Curls want to form together and they want to hide that dimension. So I used wider panels, working vertically, leaving the highlights out and then adding depth, leaving the highlights out and adding depth. And this makes it sure that when her curls form their curl pattern, that all of the dimension is not lost. So she doesn't look all over light or all over dark. So thank you so much. You're so beautiful. Yes. And we will definitely make sure that we post all of the pictures of her after. I know everybody's probably anxious to see it, as are we. If you check me out on @JackieF, I would love to be able to showcase more of these things, come into your salon and teach, or you can join me at the Academy here in New York. You can also go to the L'Oreal Pro Education site, which is at L'Oreal Pro US on Instagram, and we'll make sure all of these are posted for you. So thank you so much, Hairbrain, for allowing me to share this